Hello everyone, my name is Bilikis. How you all doing? Welcome to this lovely channel. Today's tutorial will be on how to cut a facing and how to attach to your dress, top, whatever. So I'm going to go show you how to do that now. So this is my top. I have it cut out already. This is the front, this is the back. Looking at the back, I want to have a button at the back, so that was why I made this. So this is it. And this is for the front neckline. Can you see this? So what I'll do now is to place it back on fold. I'll have to place this back on fold. Let me just deal with the front first. Right now is on fold. This is for the front panel. So I will use this leftover fabric to make my facing to cut it out. So I'll just fold. Let me just use this part. Just fold this way. So I haven't done that. What we need is the neck region and then part of the shoulder. So make sure this is on fold. See that? Then you have to place this. Make sure the folded part matches the folded part of the back fabric too. See? Make sure you take your time to adjust it very, very well. If possible, pin it down. So I haven't done that. The next thing now is to trace this neckline and then this shoulder part. So this is what I have. Then I'll go to the shoulder region. So now I can remove this. So the next thing now is to use my tape rule to get the exact measurement I want. Now we just need about 3 to 4 inches is okay. 3 inches to 4 inches. So from this edge, just measure 3 inches or 4 inches. But for me, 3 inches is okay. But you can make do with 3.5 or 4, which is okay. But I'll just make do with 3. This is 3 because I'll just hem a little of this. So 3 inches, 3 inches, 3 inches, 3 inches. Haven't done that, then I can just use your zigzag stitch to hem it or your overlocking machine. But it's advisable you do 3.5 4, but 3 inches is just okay for me. I haven't done that. The next thing is to cut it out. Remember, it's on fold. So looking at this, can you see how it comes out? Let me just show you, because it has to match with the front panel. This is the front panel. Let me turn it to the wrong side so that it will be so obvious. So looking at it, let me see the neckline matches. Then the shoulder area, can you see? Because we'll have to sew this separately and also the panel separately. So the same way I did this, I'll do for the back. So I'll just fold it over to show you. This is the back panel, so I placed this on the folded fabric. Looking at this, I took in 1/4 inch off because I want the space to be around that part, because I'll put in a button hole and a button. So make sure the folded parts are intact. So I'll have to take note of this part. What will I do? Can you see gently? You can mark the same way I did for the first one, but I just thought of just cutting it out. Just go about it gently. We've got through, so I'll just remove this. Then measure the 3 inches, just the same for the front. 3 inches here, Then I'll come down here. You could just reduce it to 2.5 or better still 3. So with these, I'll just so can you see that? So for the back, this is what I have. And you see that was easy. So the next thing now is to sew this front and back separately and also this separately. But firstly, this, if you have an overlocking machine, just finish up the edge with it, that's all. But if you are using a domestic machine like mine, just fold in 1/4 inch, can you see this, and then use a zigzag stitch to just finish up the edge. So I'll do that, and then we can now start joining it together. The first thing now, this is the front and back. This is the back, this is the front. So I'll have to join this at the shoulder. Whatever seam allowance you left, just join the shoulder. Then this right side facing each other too. Can you see? Because we both left 3 inches, so it matches. So what I did was I folded in 1/4 inch and then used my zigzag stitch to finish up the edges. Can you see it? Okay. So having done that, right sides facing each other, then I will take in 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm also taking for this. Can you see that? But if you want to use the crooked way, as I always say, when you just want to bypass some process, all you have to do is just attach this. It's very, very simple, but not the professional way of finishing it. Attach the front one facing to it, sew it up at the shoulder, attach this to the back panel, attach it together, then you both join the shoulder, but it will be a little bit bulky here. So that's why I just like this method. So what thing I will do now is to sew this up and then the facing. So let me start with the main fabric. So right now I want to start sewing the first shoulder. Just make sure your pin is in it. Left stitch and back stitch. Whatever seam allowance you left. So looking at it, can you see the first shoulder? So I'll do the same thing to the second one and show you. Now I've sewn the shoulders. Can you see that? Please, the same seam allowance you've taken for this is the same seam allowance you should take for the facing, please, because it has to match before I press open the seam allowance. So right now let's do this. Now, make sure your needle is in there. So looking at this, I've taken this, then I'll take the other side. After sewing it up, this is what you now have. You can see I pressed open the seams. So this is what I have. So also for the facing, can you see that? So everything has to match. This is the shoulder point, very good. It matches with these, very good. How about this? That was why I said you have to take whatever seam allowance you took for that. Okay, that's perfect. So since that matches now, so what we have to do is to place right side facing right side, because after sewing this, we have to push all this facing inward. So you could just pin it round. You get that? So, but I want to have a button here. So what I just did is to get a little fabric, then just fold it over this way. Can you see this? Then fold it over this way, then you sew it up to have this. Then how do you fold this? All you have to do is this, then you turn this way. Right now, going over this again, can you see the way I fold it over? Then all you have to do is to turn it this way. Can you see this? So depending on how big the button you're using is, then I'll take to my sewing machine and just sew a straight stitch here. Now I've made the stitch, so I'll just trim off the excess. So what I'll do this now is this, I'll just place it this side facing down, then beneath here, Just place it underneath it, so close to the seam allowance you will be taking in. Can you see that? Now just pin it down. So I haven't pinned it down, then I'll start sewing. I can start sewing either from here, either 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, whatever seam allowance you left. So you sew it through this part and then finish it up here. Now remember, you will sew all through here too. So whatever seam allowance, let's assume is 1/4 inch, so you start sewing from that 1/4 inch because you have to end on this part. So don't forget that. So first you can just place in your needle to make it easier. You see that? Then I sew back stitch. Then I keep sewing whatever seam allowance I left. I'll remove my pin. Then you keep turning gently. Looking at this, I'm closer to this part. I'll remove the pin gently. So whatever seam allowance, if it is 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, so just put in your needle, lift up the foot. I'll have to turn this. Can you see that? Then gently make sure you rearrange this. Here. So this place is slightly curved, then you curve it till you finish. Now looking at it, can you see everything matches, and this is now inward. So before I just turn it, I'll just notch it all through. So you keep notching till you notch all through the neckline. After notching, so the next thing is you could just top stitch. So this makes it just slip so well. That is all your seam allowance to be facing. But I will just do this. So before turning it in, just notch this area, trim this off the other side. And I'll start turning it in. Can you see this? So I'll just use my iron to give it a good press before we now tack this down. Now looking at it, I've given it a good press. Can you see how it looks? So to stop this from just flying over, what I'll do now is to tack this down to the shoulder, this seam allowance. Can you see that? Just tack it down this way and then you are good to go. Looking at it now, you can see it is all fixed. I've attached this to the shoulder area. Can you see that? You could just hem this down, but once your button is fixed, it will just stay right down there. So can you see it is very easy to make? So I'll just put this on for you to understand the importance of facing in a dress. Looking at this, can you see? So it gives that perfect finishing once you make it right. So if my tutorial has been helpful, give me a thumbs up, and if you are not subscribed yet, subscribe. Tell your friends about this channel. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Bilikis Signatures. Our Facebook group is Sewing Innovations. Bye for now.